Hey, welcome back to Two Girls, One Cup. I'm Dan, and this is
Pissed.
Pissed. And here we are. We're going over week 7. Uh, we'll get to Pissed there in a second, but let's start off with our top dog in the league, the top guy of the week, of the league, of the year so far, and that is Wild Card Bitches, led by JJ, going up against a another team who started off the year strong, Philly Special, led by Michael. This week, Austin Eckler, Ramondre Stevenson did it again. Josh Jacobs is kicking ass and taking all the points away from Devontae Adams. And it was just a blowout this week. Do you have anything to say about this matchup, or do you want to just I don't know. How do you want to do this?
Yeah,
Do you want to just
sure.
jump right into your anger? I feel like you're ready to go. Let's just get into it.
Yeah, here's part of my anger. I spent the entire season last year acquiring picks so that I could make sure that I've got a lot of good depth on my team. And JJ he didn't even have a first round pick, and he's got like top 4 running backs. And meanwhile, I have one of my top running backs tears his ACL, and his basically gets a promotion. So it's just funny how someone can just keep winning and it keeps getting better for them. And yeah, haven't seen any of that yet. Just very frustrating on that. James Robinson's going to do better. He's probably going to be one of his better backs now, being at New York moving forward. He still has a lot of good depth in receiver. Eckler and Jacobs are doing great. And at the beginning of the year, they were talking about how Jacobs probably wasn't going to be on the team moving forward. So that looks like a change up. And
Yeah, big contract year.
and just so you know, this would have been I would have easily beaten Michael this week with half of his team on buys. It looks like with Stephon Diggs and AJ Brown and Miles Sanders. But
Yeah, Philly was off this week.
yeah, yeah, that's probably the best week to play him. And of course, he goes up against the guy who's going to score the most points. So that's pretty fucking lame.
Yeah, JJ's team has been led by Josh Allen all season, and Josh Allen has been head and shoulders above every other fantasy player in the league. I know we always talk shit on quarterbacks, but Josh Allen is definitely the number one guy, undisputably, in fantasy so far this season, and he probably will be the rest of the year. If the Bills end up tying or doing better than the Eagles record wise, I think Josh Allen right now is an absolute shoe in for MVP of
Yeah.
the league.
So
Yeah, so do you have anything else on that one? I think we're ready to move on to another one.
yeah, we're ready to move on for sure.
Let's go to I'm going to go to the left on my little fantasy thing here and go to my team, get some happy thoughts into here while we still have them. Boiled Denim versus the Money Team, and I took this one 95.5 to 90.3. Another big bye week this week with Cooper Cup being out this week. My team was led by Justin Herbert and just a bunch of decently scoring guys. Derrick Henry has gotten back to being the Derrick Henry of old, and the Titans own the Colts, so that's looking pretty good. And as far as the other sides, Geno Smith started to cool off a little bit, uh, and really not much else to mention on that side of the field. Brandon Ayuk didn't score a couple times this week. Brandon Ayuk is definitely one of those guys who he scores 2 touchdowns one week, and then you put him in your flex the next week, and he doesn't score any touchdowns. And Matt Collins down there in Las Vegas on the bench, I'm pretty sure he got a touchdown this week. And I used to like Matt Collins because he was an Eagle, but he pisses me off now, outscoring Devontae Adams. Him and Josh Jacobs take all the points.
Yeah, again, out of both these teams, I outscored one of them, and of course, I don't get to go against somebody like that. Um, but no, I mean, you have Najee Harris, who still just has 8 points. He's not doing great, but I mean, he's still doing something productive on there. Brian Robinson's still a good play there. Njoku's going to be out for a few weeks, so that'll be interesting. Obviously, Tyler Higbee will be taking the reins moving forward on that. Um, and then again for Geno Smith, yeah, he didn't do as much, but also I think it's because they had such a lead. I don't count him out for a minute. I think he's going to be just fine. Um, and yeah, I mean, the only other improvement he could have made there was Matt Collins, but I mean, all the way around, no matter what he did, or I guess Antonio Gibson, I see that now. He could have put him in as a flex, but I think Gibson was only projected like 5 points. But yeah, no, this is another team where Tyler probably had one of the worst drafts, and still is doing better than me. And then you didn't even have a first or second. and you're still doing better than me.
Yeah, with Derrick Henry. I really like that plan, and I'm so hesitant to trade picks this year because I just realized that like if one of my whole strategy going into last year was just to have the four strongest guys I could possibly have, and somehow that included Devontae Smith. But
It didn't. You just like him.
I love him. I love him, and I don't know. I still think he's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Just like
the one thing I am worried about with Brian Robinson, it seems like he's going to get a majority of the first and second down carries there in Washington. And then Antonio Gibson is very likely, if they don't line up in the backfield, to steal some carries. I mean, not steal some carries, but if they get to like third down and they're in the red zone, it seems like Antonio Gibson's going to get all the passing downs. So it'll be interesting to see the tug of war fantasy wise between Robinson and Gibson going forward. And I really hope Gibson does not steal all those points.
I don't. I think it's kind of one of those deals where I've noticed a lot of the newer backs or rookie backs this year. The first 2 to 3 games, they were getting maybe like 25 to 40% of like the workload, and then after a few weeks where it felt like they were comfortable, they ditched the veteran guy in favor of the new guy. So I think he's just going to do better and better as the season goes on.
Yeah, I mean he had 20 and 17 carries the last 2 weeks. His yards per rush aren't very high. He's still under 4 yards per rush, but I think that they really like him.
Jesus, you
And
had one guy on the bench who scored, and I mean, like you played that perfect.
yeah, I like to use a lot of my bench spots on guys who are either I'm taking a shot on them, like Odell Beckham, like I'm just hoping he signs with somebody so I can throw him in there on a flex in case he gets hot or goes to the Chiefs or something. Like if Odell Beckham goes to the Chiefs, you know he's going to score like 2 touchdowns his first game there.
Right.
And Baltimore doesn't have any wide receivers, and I'm an Eagles fanatic. So if Deshaun Jackson goes into Baltimore with no wide receivers, you know that Deshaun's going to hook up with a guy like Lamar Jackson and hit a couple 60-yard touchdowns before his ribs fall off of his body. So that's kind of my thinking on that. I'm still not the happiest about Najee Harris, but at this point, with all the buys and everything when it comes to trades, who knows if a trade gets done there with Najee Harris and I don't know. I'm interested to see if Michael Carter actually maybe James Robinson gets hurt or James Robinson doesn't translate immediately to New York. I feel like Michael Carter. I think Michael Carter right now is not projected to really take over for Breece Hall. Rest in peace, Breece Hall. We can go over that more a little bit in a little bit, but I think Michael Carter, if he has like a hot start to the next game, he could potentially take over for James Robinson, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes too. I got a couple of running backs who are part of a 50-50. You don't really know which way they're going to go
I think
necessarily.
Michael Carter this week should be a start because I think with James Robinson coming in, I still think he's going to get 90% of everything. So I think this is like a good week to start Carter. Yeah, I think he's really going to get a good workload.
Like I think they limited his touches, and by the end of the game, they were basically just handing off to Jeff Wilson, even though McCaffrey is way better. It's just,
Yeah.
I think they like to take him slow. All right, moving on to the next matchup, we have the surprisingly hot team in the league right now, the Gang Plays Fantasy, moving to 3-4 against a fallen giant at this point of the league in Team Suicide Pact. You look at these two rosters, and the outcome doesn't make a lick of sense. If you saw these rosters before the year, you probably would have thought that the game happened in a completely different way. But the one thing I guess we can count on for real in this is that Kyle Pitts is going to score 0 to 1 point every single week. Kyle Pitts just sucks ass. And I know his name is Chuba Hubbard, but it was nice to see Chuba Hubbard uh, finally. Oh, he get him back?
Yeah, he
He
did.
got him back. Oh, cool. So Chuba Hubbard got 13 points. I doubt he does that the rest of the year. And what do you think about this game? Because I thought it was just hilarious that Thomas has pulled it out. Like I said in the group chat, the West Conference Division went undefeated this week. So West Side, shout out all my West Siders, and East Side can suck one.
Yeah, I mean, he started Matt Ryan and what could be his last start for the season, apparently.
Possibly the last start of his career at this point.
I just thought that was a really bold statement to just be like, yeah, no, we're moving on and we're going to put this guy in and he will start the rest of the season. Like,
Our sixth round pick as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just thought it was really bold. I thought it was really weird, but yeah. So I mean, that's a throwaway now. You still have this random ass dude named Eno Benjamin who's doing great. DK got hurt, but he's gonna be okay. He finally started Juju at the right time. Um, we'll see if Judy stays on there, but I mean, yeah, he he did all right this week with this. I mean, obviously he lucked out going against somebody who just could not put up points. I don't know why he keeps going for Romeo Dubes. I know he had that one game where he did okay, but like, leave it alone. Like, he's not doing anything. He's on a team that, like, I mean, there are so many passes where Aaron Rodgers was putting in people's hands, and like they just can't do it. They just
It just straight up dropped the ball. That team is painful to watch. I have no sympathy for Packers fans or the Packers as a team, but it is pretty painful watching them and their core of wide receivers, especially
and like also
considering I had the best one they ever freaking had for the last 10 years, and he had to leave because of a contract. And yeah, sorry, you
yeah,
keep going.
this is like an easy win. I feel like you just don't need to start Harris, and he started Harris. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I would have went anywhere else. I probably would have went Duvernay on that, which again isn't that much better, and it wouldn't have helped them win. I just thought that was kind of a weird pick there. Cowboys defense sold out and did their stuff. Taysom Hill, I mean, it's always a good one to have because you don't know what he's going to happen. But I wouldn't have started Christian McCaffrey, and I get he's kind of in a situation where he kind of has to because he's got really bad depth. But I, it's it's a rough situation. It's so far it's been a rough year for Wes on this. A lot of his plays last year that he was able to get from waivers and stuff like that, they haven't popped out. I love Devin Duvernay. I think he's got a lot of potential. Anyone for Atlanta in the passing game, I don't have any faith in just because Marcus Mariota does not. I mean, he's literally averages like 120 yards a game passing. I mean, it's just he's not. Don't invest in that. It makes no sense. Curtis Samuel actually started to do a little bit better than usual, and maybe that's why he went with Romeo because he just got frustrated with Curtis Samuel. And I think I talked shit about Curtis Samuel last week. And the
Yeah,
49ers just had a terrible game as well. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it was very frustrating for Wes on this as well. But I mean, going forward, I really just would not. I would leave the Romeo Dubes thing just alone. Just stop. Don't do it.
yeah, get him out of here. I think Keenan Allen. It looks like Keenan Allen came back last week. Was he back in a limited role? He only had 1 point.
Yeah, he's already questionable again.
Okay, so it just seems like he's going to have one of those years where
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
he's just consistently screwed. All
Yeah.
right, that makes sense. Yeah. So congratulations to Thomas, West Side, West Siders. Let's ride, and let's move on to Pepe Sylvia versus Fat Mac. Fat Mac came back again in big fashion this week, and won 118.48 to 86.32. Danny Dimes led the way with 28.78 points, and Jamar Chase looks like he's back on the. Him and Joe Burrow are on fire right now.
Yeah, honestly, it's really a bad week with buys and stuff like that for Josh. And the Daniel Jones start was really smart. Ezekiel Elliott did well. Isaiah Pacheco didn't pan out, but that was the right start. That was the right move. And I think going forward, that's going to be the right move. Jamar Chase finally clapped back. I don't know if I have any faith in any kind of Pittsburgh receiver because, I mean, that's kind of what beat me this past week. But I still,
Yeah, Pittsburgh is just so bad. I hate them
yeah,
all.
I
I
mean,
hate them. I can't wait for the
right
Eagles to
foot in.
smash them this week.
But then then you got Pepe Sylvia's picks where I could call up William right now and I could ask him who does Kenneth Walker play for, and he wouldn't be able to tell me. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. He pays attention. I could ask him who Amon-Ra St. Brown plays for, and he wouldn't be able to tell me. I guarantee it. But yet he has more wins in fantasy than I do. He randomly this week did a waiver pickup, and I think it might have been the second time all year he's even looked. He has Randall Cobb, who's on the IR for the rest of the year on his bench, but yet he still has more. He even did auto draft, so like half these guys, he did. I mean, he didn't even show up for the draft. I mean, he puts in so much little effort, but has so much more success than I do. And I feel like even last year he made it to the playoffs, and meanwhile I'm over here fucking trying to. I don't know, just That's
You're making deals, man. You're like Sam Hinkie over there. You just keep trading picks, kicking the can down the road, laying the plan, land the plane,
mm.
laying the plan. That's a stupid thing to say. All right, let's move on to Kitten Mittens, the corpse of the week, the corpse of the team, as in it was dead and there was almost no life from that team versus Rickety Cricket. And
These are two teams that if I would have won against, I would have beat both of them.
yeah, yeah, I guess you
Yeah,
would have.
yeah, I know. Yeah, but
Yeah, me too. And yeah, this week Marshall just took a knee on the week, and I don't know what was that. Maybe there was a statement from Marshall, maybe a political statement of some kind. Maybe Marshall still got has three quarterbacks on his roster, and that's pretty interesting.
oh yeah, I'll
And
raise them. I have four.
two of them two of them didn't score any. You have four
Yeah,
quarterbacks?
I have four quarterbacks, and not a damn one can do anything correct.
Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. Who's your fourth quarterback? Oh, did you just pick somebody
Justin
up?
Fields.
Oh, Justin Fields. Oh, and they all suck
Yeah,
ass. Oh man. But back to the Rickety Cricket versus Kitten Mittens. DJ Moore, Travis Kelsey, David Montgomery, all of Kelsey's guys did okay. This was like a Dan win. Low 90s. Everybody kind of contributes something, and you get lucky with your opponent just doing nothing.
yeah.
So congratulations to
Wish I
Kelsey.
could get that. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
you don't get anything, man. All right, now let's move on to the final matchup. What else you got for us?
In the final matchup or the previous one?
Let's move on to the final one because I don't think we need to talk about a 60-point game very long. There wasn't
So,
there wasn't really anything interesting unless you want to talk about it.
let's
But
just talk about this. 2 weeks in a row, I'm projected to win by 20 points. 20.
from the beginning,
20 points. I'm projected to win by 20. And last week, I score like 60 some damn points, completely shit the bed, and lose by 0.3. That's frustrating. It's frustrating. But, shit happens in fantasy, and, you think to move on. So you go on to the next week
fantasy is
where you're
shit.
projected to win by 20 against a team who's starting guys like Jeff Wilson Jr. and George Pickens and Robert Tonyan and the Jets defense. And you're like, okay, well, this should be, this should be in. Like, this should be automatic. And then Joe Burrow has the best game that he's had all year because in week one it didn't even look like he could walk and talk correct, but all of a sudden now he can score 40 points in fantasy. And you know I get it with Fournette, he didn't do much, and Jeff Wilson didn't do much. And then Washington has their backup quarterback in, and all of a sudden right at the end. McLaurin starts really picking up some steam. And, then you got Pittsburgh up against Miami, and George Pickens was projected 5 points, and then all of a sudden gets a fucking touchdown. And,
The only
yeah,
touchdown for
yeah.
Pittsburgh.
And then Justin Tucker, okay. Lamar
The
Jackson
greatest kicker
has
of all
like
time.
100 yards passing, I think, the whole game. Lamar Jackson was completely disabled. And because of that, Justin Tucker has just a damn field day. And yeah, then you go over to my team and you're like, Aaron Rodgers scores 15 points. Okay, well, not great, not wonderful, but like 15, whatever. Okay. Nick Chubb scores 16. Okay, well, that's reasonable. Breece Hall scores 13. Oh, and he tears his ACL. Because why not? Fuck you. That's why. So yeah, one of my like opening good picks that I had, a guy who was ranked in the top 5 for running backs, torn ACL out. Then I get CD Lamb, who was the second overall pick, who really should be a lot better than what he is. And he goes up against a really bad Detroit Lions team, and I get 6.6 from him. Then Mike Evans goes against a really, really, really bad Carolina team and misses a wide open touchdown. And with that, I would have had I think at least 12 points from that one play, which would have helped me win.
Yeah, that was like a 50 plus yard touchdown went right through
Yep,
his
yep.
hands.
And
Totally changed the course of the
I
whole
feel like at this
game.
point it's just God telling me you suck. But and then Gerald Everett does a decent tight end game. I can't complain there. Damian Pierce, he didn't score a touchdown, but still, I mean, had over 100 yards. The Patriots, you went up against Cleveland and you guys looked like you could smack God in the mouth, and all of a sudden this week you go against Chicago and you can't, I mean, do a damn thing straight. And my kicker game was always on point, and that's great. But seriously, go back to this too. Boyd Soul didn't even have a first round pick. They have. I'm going to be honest with you. Jack's team does not look great. They don't look great. But yet somehow he just keeps winning, and it gets to the point where I start to sit there and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? You go to official or you go to Rickety Cricket and she has more wins than me. And I guarantee you, if I asked her how many yards you can block downfield before it's called an eligible receiver downfield, she couldn't tell me. I guarantee you, if I asked Jack certain football stuff, actually, no, Jack knows football pretty well. But I'll be honest, Jack's made horrible trades in the past, like trading um, what's his name for a first and a second. But it's constant. And I mean, it's like every single week there is just some sort of just belligerent bullshit that's happening. At this point, I've got 4 quarterbacks because I'm just hoping that one of them can piss straight, and all of them all of a sudden just can't. They just can't. When I looked at like, okay, well, what's the deal with like Russ this week? Really don't count on him because it could be any set. Like it could go either way whether he plays or not. He plays in London at 9:30 in the morning. So that's like, okay, well, I just got to go ahead and just bench him. That's not going to work. Deshaun Watson, he's too busy raping people to ever actually step foot on the football field. So now I got between Aaron Rodgers, who's going up against the Bills. Is that it? The Bills? Yeah. Well, that's probably not going to work. So I guess let's go to the fourth person up, Justin Fields, who's had 80 yards rushing for the last 2 games and a passing touchdown. So let's just, good God, like how just awful is this? And here's the deal. This next week coming up, we've got week 8, and I'm up against Rickety Cricket, and right now I'm projected to win by 5. Whatever. Like it's a tough game. Should go, okay. But the thing is, week 9, the week right afterwards, my entire team's on buys. I don't have enough people to have a starting lineup. My entire team's on buys, which means I'm going to have to do some waiver pickups and try to shuffle some shit around to make sure something happens. And that's against
Who do
where
you?
Josh has one guy on buy. That's it. So on top of that, right now, looking at a 2-5, I basically need to win 7 in a row, which is not unheard of. Michael last year won 7 in a row and punched his ticket into the playoffs. 7 in a row. He started off 2-5, won 7 in a row, and got there. Not unheard of, but holy shit, it is uphill from here. So on top of that too, and everyone needs to start looking at this as well. If you are Wes and if you're Marshall at this point, it's not looking good. And Wes this week goes up against Jack, and that's going to be a tough one right there. I don't know. He might get it. He might not. But once you start getting to that 6th loss right there, the West is really, really just pushing it further and further and further. We'll be lucky to get 2 teams on the East in the playoffs, and as of right now, it's I would say it's almost guaranteed to be Michael. It's not guaranteed to be Tyler at this point because he's got really tough matchups moving forward, and he's got a lot of hurts and buys areas. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. But my God, I mean, like it is just what a frustrating time this all is. And it looks honestly, in my opinion, right now, if we were to do a playoff, it would be at least 4 teams from the West and maybe 2 teams from the East. Maybe. Um, it's just I'm very frustrated with everything in fantasy right now. I have the same the same lineup in 3 different leagues, and the other 2 leagues I'm absolutely killing it. And then in this one, oh my God, everything is wrong. Everything is wrong.
Yeah, just in the league that matters is
Yeah,
the
the
one
one
you're
I care
sucking
about the
at.
most. Yeah, the other ones I have money in, and I don't care nearly as much. And maybe that's why I'm doing better because I'm like half-assed looking at it, being like, "Oh, that'll work. Oh, that'll okay. That's good enough. Oh, okay, that'll work."
I think you got to give our league some credit. I think we got some pretty
No, we
good
don't.
players. I think we have some teams that ended up a little
No, I mean
unbalanced,
like,
but
yeah, okay. There's some guys who do good.
I
Like, don't
like
get me
it.
wrong. Like Jack and Wes, look at their lineups. Marshall clearly just took a week off, and I don't know. Josh definitely does. I could ask William to not look at his lineup for 6 weeks, and I'm sure he'd be like, "Cool, one less thing to do. Moving on." Clearly, JJ does. Michael and you do. Um, Kelsey plays fantasy probably the most interesting because she's more just kind of like looking at projections. I guess has less emotional attachment than the rest of us do on it. And then Thomas just makes these just crazy ass just decisions that are just all over the place, and still has more wins than I do. So it's not necessarily that like, oh, this league's great or this league's better on it. It's just how shit's shaping up to be. It's of course the one that you put the most time and effort into is going to be the one that has the shittiest outcomes on it. But we're going to see because right now, literally, like the next two weeks are really going to decide whether some teams are going to be playoff eligible or not. And if you're not, it's going to be key to find whoever your four keepers are going to be, and then get the best price for the rest of your guys. And if you're looking at someone like, and I'm just going to use myself for example because it's pretty much looking like it could be there. I'm going to go four running backs to keep every bit of the way on that. So it'll be looking like I'm looking for teams who need a wide receiver, which of course is Jack and William in there. And Jack and William are good enough right now where they are still looking for a playoffs, or West on that as too. But I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how the next couple weeks pan out. I feel like I do say that every single week on that. But it'll be it's going to really kind of do a little more separation on things and how things keep moving forward. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see whether the trading of the picks is going to help or hurt some people, or how that's going to work. I mean, shit, I went and collected as much as I could, and I've always talked about my 3-year program, so maybe this is all just gearing up for a really good year 3. But I'll be honest with you, without on my abundance of draft picks, I would have had the worst team. Like if I just look at the people who I would have picked in my rounds, like when it was my turn, I wouldn't have nearly as much depth or as much talent as I do, which would have just made everybody else a little bit better on it as well. So, yeah, just overall incredibly frustrated. And if you just look for points for and points against, like good God, like you, for example, having a negative point differential, but you're still at 4-3.
Hell yeah, baby. That's all skill right there. No luck involved with that kind of
Yeah,
stuff,
totally.
man.
Yeah.
I want to get into some of these hypothetical trades before we hop off. I'm trying real hard to think of. I made an offer. What do you think would be? I made an offer. It was probably a bad offer. I don't think it was that bad, but I tried it. It was Adam. I tried offering Adam Thielen for Clyde Edwards-Helaire because, like you've said in the last few weeks, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is looking to possibly take a back seat to Pacheco as things go forward, and his stats have been declining. What do you think would be fair value for a Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Is that somebody I could
Uh,
swing?
I feel like Jack should have took that trade. I feel like Adam Thielen is a much more important player than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. For you, I don't like that pick. I don't like that play. Um, and going to your team real quick, I wouldn't have lost. I would have gave up Thielen. I mean, you've got Michael Carter there. I think you're fine on running back in general. I know obviously Najee Harris isn't producing what you want him to do, but I mean that's literally like your one hiccup, and he's still doing okay. Like it's not like he's just absolutely not like scoring a point. Like he's pulling a Kyle Pitts or anything. Um, I would not have traded Adam Thielen for that by any means. That's my opinion on it. And I know another trade you're looking for was to try to get like an elite QB on that. And I don't think that's gonna like. I think if you trade too much of your depth to get an elite QB, it could pan out okay, but I don't. I wouldn't trust it to. Not this year going.
Yeah, yeah, I would need picks. I'm starting to. I don't know. I feel like nobody's gonna want to trade picks after last year, or at least like I don't know. Maybe people won't be trading first
Yeah,
rounders
and
as
I think
much,
that's a
but
healthy and a good thing. I think last year, obviously, with all that happened, I think it's kind of a frustrating thing because people.
and
Yeah,
everybody
but I
was
think
new to
now
it.
everyone kind of understands how valuable a first round pick is, and because of that, it's going to make it when a move is for a first round pick, it's got to be somebody who's like a playmaker, a difference maker. And I also think too that this year, once I think in the next week or two, we're going to have more picks moving around, and I think it's going to be a lot more second, third, fourth, fifth rounders. I really do. I think that's going to be the big thing this year.
Would you trade me? I'm not offering this to you right now, but what do you think about Najee Harris for Breece
No,
Hall?
no.
Straight up. running back coming off of an ACL. Honestly, I probably wouldn't do it, but I think it's just interesting to think about. Like Breece Hall, clearly the much better player this year, but running back coming off of an ACL tear,
Oh,
who
absolutely.
knows? I mean, I think he's still one of your top four
Yeah, as of right
keepers,
now, my
but
top four keepers, I'm going Chubb, ETN, Pierce, and Hall. But I'm really hoping that Cleveland trades Kareem Hunt because that's going to make him a bigger asset somewhere else. I think if he goes to another team, like for example, if he would have went to a Jets team, that to me that whole trade would have made more sense for Cleveland and for New York on that. Um, but as of right now, I hear that Cleveland's asking for like a first or second for Hunt, which is ridiculous. Um, yeah,
yeah,
I think
there's no
other
way that's
teams
going to happen.
consider him as a fourth rounder, and also too, if you look at his contract, the contract ends this year, so like it's literally a 1 year rental. So like it's not worth such a high pick by any means. But I think Kareem Hunt, if he does get traded, that his stock's going to go up on that, and that's kind of what I'm holding out for, and I'm waiting for him to kind of get traded, and then I'm probably going to look to move him. Um, Deontay Johnson, I'm going to see if I can try to move him, honestly, probably this week. And that's going to be a tough one right there because, even though he's one of the main receivers there, he's still 48th, which is just horrible. Uh, just really, really bad. And honestly, it's funny. I feel like at the beginning of the year, I had decent receiver depth, but it's just slowly going downhill, I feel like, as the season goes on as well. Um, but yeah, I think that's going to be a big key right there. I think Mike Evans, I'm going to, before the season starts, whether I'm good or not, I'm trading Mike Evans. And someone's going to need him depth wise, and he has done very, very well. I think he's like top 10. He's 14. Um, but he's not a keeper, and he's old, and I just don't like that, as we've talked about before. But I think that's going to be a big trade right there. There's somebody else that I was looking at today. Let's see. I look at Pepe Sylvia to trade off some people too. I would say because right now you have Kamara, Walker, Patrick Mahomes, and Javante is probably who I would keep on there. So it's things start to go south for him. Amon-Ra St. Brown would be a good one to trade. Jamal Williams would be a good one to trade. So I think there's definitely some depth there in his trading ability. And then West is going to be very interesting because as soon as West gets that sixth loss or maybe even that seventh loss, I think he's really going to start looking and investing into the next year. And I think West is pretty smart with a lot of his moves. I would see him probably keeping McCaffrey and Samuel. I don't know, maybe Darren Waller. Darren Waller just hasn't done what he did last year, in my opinion. And Kyler Murray, I don't know if he's a keeper anymore either. What do you think on Kyler Murray? Would you keep him?
At this point, the only quarterbacks I'm keeping are
Allen,
Patrick Mahomes and
yeah.
Josh Allen. As of right now, I'd have to go back and look at some of the teams. Maybe I'd keep a quarterback if I'm some of those teams, but I don't know. Maybe Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I can see Jalen Hurts in that, but yeah, I don't know if I would keep Murray. And he's got a lot of he did a lot of waiver pickups. Wes has done more pickups or more moves than anybody else has this year. I think he's got 20. Yeah, he has 20. Next behind him is Thomas with 18, but he's went through and shuffled through a lot of different players this year, and that's going to be interesting to see who he ends up keeping, who he ends up moving. And Marshall's got a lot of potential. I don't see Marshall being. He's not a very aggressive trader, and I'm curious to see who he ends up keeping, and because he's got a lot of people he could absolutely trade and get some picks or get something for.
Yeah, I've been real light on the waiver pickups this year. I'm usually a lot
To be
heavier.
fair, I don't think there's a lot of decent waiver pickups in our league this year either.
Yeah, maybe we have to discuss in the league shortening the bench size. I always liked having the benches because I like picking up a guy like Brian Robinson. I picked him up 3 or 4 weeks before he came back, and I was just like, eventually this guy's coming back, and he was gonna be the starter as a rookie running back. I don't know. He could end up being a keeper for me this year. I'm not totally sold on him either way yet, but I kind of like part of that, and I like having Odell on my bench, and I like those kind of looking far into the future moves. But at the same time, it makes the waiver wire
Oh, it's horrible. Like it's really
garbage.
like there's there's no depth really in anything. I mean, like for example, if you go to running backs, I'm going to guarantee the projected score is like 5 points. It's Caleb Huntley with 6, but like then you have Hines and Ingram. I mean, it's like 3 point.
He could just as easily get you under
Yeah, and
five
like even
points.
if you go
Like
receiver route, you got Robert Woods, who I wouldn't trust to save my life. Paris Campbell, Josh Reynolds. I mean, yeah, you still don't really have anything good at all. Like right now, like our waiver is really, really tough, and it's kind of like whatever team you have, you're kind of stuck with. And Thomas has done great with picking up like Chuba right after he dropped him and picking him up right back up again. But yeah, I mean, there's really it's just whoever's on your
Jube.
team at this point is like who you got, and so that's why I think also trades are going to come up here shortly because there's just not a lot of moves. Like for example, next week I literally don't have enough people to play, so like I'm gonna have to make a trade, have to make a move with somebody. Um, I was really looking at Harris for you because I was like, I want him. I've always wanted him. That would be a good one just to grab. But he's off on a buy as well, so I'm probably looking at. Uh, Michael never responds back on trades. Josh basically doesn't. I'm probably gonna look at either Tyler, Pepe, Thomas or Wes for some sort of trade to make a flex happen next week. And I've been looking and looking and trying to figure out what would be the best move. And also, too, you're at a point, too, if you're 2-5, and it's very similar to what the 49ers just did. Do you make a trade to try to save your season, or do you make a trade to try to invest in the future? Like, it's like, do you like what do you try to do, and what do you try to pan out? Because I'll tell you right now, after 2 seasons, really 3 seasons of losing, like I would do anything just to have like winning and just to be able to be like eligible for playoffs and just have a chance. And to invest in the future one more time is just super frustrating. And maybe that is the play, and I need to be more patient. But damn, like I want some sort of success now for sure.
Maybe, yeah, I think your best option is to trade off Kareem Hunt, Mike Evans, and CeeDee Lamb and try to get
Yeah,
picks for those guys.
and that's probably what I'll end up having to do. But like, damn. And I mean, with that being said, if I'm able to do that and I'm able to get third and fourth round picks, I've got 4 starting excellent caliber running backs going into the season, and then I've got a plethora of decent picks to be able to pick up and shuffle some things around. So I mean, yeah, I mean, there's definitely moves to be made, but damn, God, I just want it to happen now, and that's going to be a tough one, and it's going to be a tough rest of the season for a lot of people, especially in the East, because besides Michael's team, it's a crapshoot. Like I really don't think there's a 76% playoff for Tyler, but like he's gonna have to really, really get it going and secure a couple more wins before I would ease up or believe that any of that's gonna happen.
Yeah, it seems like the draft is becoming more and more important in this league. Maybe we need to,
Maybe we need a what?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Do you think there's a bit of reorganization of the league that needs to happen? I always talk about those 4 keepers, and I know you have 4 very good keepers. I don't think the keepers are necessarily a problem, but maybe we tighten up
I
those
am all in
benches.
favor of tightening up the bench,
Um,
and I think that would be a big waiver thing, and I think that would help out a lot of people in general. I think that's the play to make. Um, but also too, I think part of it is people making bad deals, and I think that's a big part of it as well.
yeah. Well, Jack, if you still want to trade me Adam Thielen for Clyde
So really, you
Edwards-Helaire,
just want like
let's
any
do it.
kind of running back. So what would you give
So
me for Kareem Hunt?
I'd probably give you Adam Thielen for Kareem Hunt. You want Adam Thielen for Kareem Hunt? I feel like you don't want anybody that I would give you for
Let
Kareem
me
Hunt.
look at what you got again. What is?
I'm itching to make a trade, but I can't think of any trades where I'm not like I had that. I had a trade that was coming, and then a bunch of players in the trade were on buys, and
I had a feeling he wasn't ever going to trade you. I don't know why, but I just had the feeling.
he agreed to it after the trade expired. And I was like, oh, maybe it was like I didn't even realize that Jalen. I didn't even remember that Jalen Hurts was on a buy this week. it was with Josh, and it was for Jalen Hurts, and it was like he was like, oh, he joked that I was like going back on the deal almost, and I was like, I literally sent it through the app. I had already sent it, and it expired. Like the 2 days passed, and it expired. Like I don't know what else I can do. Like I literally offered it. I know everybody's busy, but it's also different with me and my new job. Like I don't have as much free reign to use my phone as I used to. And I used to like if I was stealing a couple minutes in the bathroom, just using my phone there, and I don't get internet very well at my new
What
job
would you do for
on
Brian
my phone.
Robinson?
Um, from your team,
Yeah.
hmm, I think it probably depends on what other trade I could make because I like my wide receiver depth. Um, I don't know. You don't have any quarterbacks that I would want. I don't think you would trade me any good running backs.
I've
Who's your
got
tight
Dalton
end?
Schultz and Gerald Everett.
Yeah, that's gross. I like both of my tight ends more than those. Um, I would do a pick possibly, but I also, if I end up trading Najee Harris, I'm probably looking at putting Brian Robinson in
My
as
biggest
the
thing is on
starter.
buys. If Najee Harris didn't have a buy next week, I would trade you a pick for him right now. I would trade you a second rounder for Harris
You could
right
still
now.
trade me a pick for him.
Really, I would trade a second rounder for any decently good running back at the moment that doesn't have a buy next week. And I don't know who.
That's crazy. That's crazy because you still have all those
Well, here's
those
my
running
thought on it, and
backs.
that's why it might be crazy, but even if I trade a second for Najee Harris now, I believe in 2 or 3 weeks I could get a second for him.
Hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think that first trade with draft picks is going to be tough to
I don't
come
know,
by.
but I think once it's opened up to, it might help. And I do have a spare second round pick thanks to Thomas. Um, so I don't know. I'm gonna try to work some stuff out this week for sure, and I'm gonna be hunting and seeing what fits and what doesn't fit. But no, I just
Would you give me anything for Njoku?
nah,
I
just
know he's
because
hurt, but
Gerald Gerald Everett gets a
just because he's
crazy
hurt,
amount of targets for whatever reason. Not that he ever catches three, but he gets
catches
a
the
lot of
ball.
targets. I would do it this week if he wasn't hurt, but Dalton Schultz is, I guess, who I'm going to try to work with. I don't know. I might honestly just pick up another tight end and put him in over Dalton Schultz because he just has not done anything this year. And I know he's been hurt, but Jesus, it's been frustrating.
I think long story short is that if you don't have Josh
Yeah, I mean,
Allen, you're
there's
kind of
three
screwed.
QBs this year, and the rest of them are really, really bad.
Yeah, and Austin Eckler. Oh, Austin Eckler's on a bye this week. There's no way Josh Jacobs keeps this up the rest of the year, but I mean, he's been
Yeah, and that's
incredible
the funny thing
recently.
too is at 6-1 already, and I get why, but like it says he has a 99% chance to make the playoffs, and it's like I get it because like literally you need 2 more wins and you have like basically just enough to be playoff eligible anyways, and then if you just happen to have 3 more wins, like you're for sure gonna be in. But yeah, it's just like where everyone's essentially around 500 anyway, looking at 4 and 3s or 3 and 4s, and you have the couple 2 and 5s. Like I get it, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
And now we'll wrap
All
it up
right.
this
You
week.
got anything else? All right. So that was two guys who aren't too super happy with their teams. I'm happy that I've been winning, but I mean, and I like your team more than I like my team right now, and
No,
your team can't buy a win. Fantasy, it is mostly luck. It is a mostly, especially in non PPR. I feel like I don't know. I don't like PPR very much, just the
hell, in
concept
PPR,
of
I'd
it.
probably
But
be killing it right now. Maybe that's a discussion we need. No, I'm kidding. I don't like PPR either. But no, I mean that's something too. Looking at it, it's all look how everything shakes out. I mean, you had West last year who had the most wins and won the championship and everything. And I mean, I think he had he had the second to last draft spot. But I mean, it's just shit just hasn't worked out for him either. And that's just how it rolls sometimes. But it does not make it any less frustrating. So someone will be making some money this year, probably JJ, unless somebody can upset him in the playoffs. But damn sure ain't gonna be me.
Don't give up hope
Well, as
yet.
long as you don't
Uh,
win, it's also kind of a win
don't
for
give up
me.
hope.
So I really just got to make sure you lose too.
God, Najee Harris fucked me this year, man. He fucked me.
4-3.
Najee Harris
You're upset
fucked me,
about
and I
Najee
fucking hate
Harris.
the
Man.
Steelers. I hate Najee Harris. I hate him so. I just hate the Steelers. I never liked the Steelers. It always sucks in fantasy when you hate a team already just as a normal fan, and then you pick up one of their players in fantasy, and for whatever reason, they just keep letting you down. So it's like I gotta kind of root for this team, and I can't even take joy in the fact that they suck ass for once. And he's just very frustrating. I'd like. I think maybe that's a interesting poll topic to see who's the most frustrating player on your team. And for me, it's 100% Najee Harris. 100%. By far the most
Real
frustrating
quick,
player.
just to make a
But
point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had almost 8 picks before you had your first pick, and you still have more wins than me.
well, I use those picks to get Derrick Henry. And then Jack traded one or both of those picks that he got for Derrick
Mm-hmm.
Henry for other players,
Yep, they
right?
went to me.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about
The
to
pick
happen again. It
vacuum.
looks like. 'Cause shit, doesn't look like I'm gonna win. But all right, that's all. That's all I got for this week.
Yeah, me too. Michael's got a negative point differential. And well, as of right now, it's JJ's league. Everybody's got him for JJ. Uh, maybe Austin Eckler will lose a couple of inches off his height and he'll become a little more
Doubt it.
stoppable. So, so good luck. Keep on rolling. Everybody pray for Prescott and Jake, and see you later.